What's up, everybody? Season 3 review of VBL-N. We got this season closed out about last week. I got knocked out about 2 weeks ago, and it's taken me some time to compile all this stuff, but here we are. We're going to go through the season, talk about my team, what I liked, what I didn't like, and just how the season went. So, let's just get into it. This was my best season yet in VBL-N, undefeated regular season, and then knocked out in the semis. Season 1 I had an undefeated regular season and then got knocked out in quarters, which was pretty depressing. If I remember right, I think I lost the game to a rock slide flinch that spiraled out of control there. I think it was like a turn 1 flinch, and then I totally lost my positioning and just went out in a blazing glory. But this season I got one game farther, so that's awesome. And also, I think season 1 I had a forfeit, so it didn't really count. But this was legit. This was the real deal. So my final team ended up being the same team I started with. I didn't want to make any transactions because I liked how it looked. Oops. We had Manfu, Spritzy, Growlithe, Magnemite, Lilip, Vampy, Natto, Depider, Stunky, Marinho, and Dreepy. So I really like this team. It was led by a solid pair of top tiers, Manfu and Spritzy. They were really strong offensive pieces while also providing plenty of team support. Manfu, I think I pretty much led Manfu like every single game this season. I wish I'd recorded what my leads were, but usually it was Manfu +1. And the reason for that is because Manfu is a scary mon to face off when everything's not fully evolved. It's an absolute monster. It can threaten Okos on things with close combat most of the time. I could even run high jump kick with Reckless if I'm feeling absolute crazy, but I don't think I ever did that. I think I always ran Inner Focus because that's just a lot more valuable. Provides one of the fastest fake outs in the format. I'm not sure if there is. I'm sure there is one faster. I think Apom and Glammeow were faster. Thank God I never had to face the Apom. That was a hell of a team. But I did face the Glammeow, and that was also scary. So Manfu is super good, potent, provides team support with the fake out there. It also has the ability to run Feint, which when everything's level 5, Feint does like 20%, which is crazy for a move that's 30 base power and not stab and breaks protect. That's incredible. So pairing Manfu with pretty much anything is going to put me in a good spot right off the bat. And one of the best mons to pair it with is Spritzy, who is an absolute bulk lord, and I honestly think it's the best trick room setter in the format. Aroma Veil is an incredible ability. We know that. Aromatisse is decent in like regular VGC draft with like well, it's incredible in low tier, and it's pretty good in regular VGC draft. And just the combination of Trick Room plus Dazzling Gleam does lots of damage. It's super physically bulky, especially bulky, whichever one you want it to be, really. And just the fact that it learns Encore is something I really leaned into as the season kind of went on. Just the ability to get up the Trick Room on the first turn and then Encore mons into moves they don't want to be sucked or like locked into. It was super potent, and I loved it. And people had to learn to play around it as the season went on, and they saw what I was doing. And the perfect lead of these two usually was fake something out or deal a ridiculous amount of damage to something, allow Spritzy to set up Trick Room, and then have one of my bulky, slow attackers run through the rest of the team. And a lot of the times, that was Depider or Magnemite, and sometimes Lilip. And these mons were so good in Trick Room, but also, again, due to Little Cup, all the stats are a lot closer together. If I put their speed stat around, like, if they hit like 8 or 10, which is usually underspeeding a lot of other teams that don't have these super slow mons, I can then set up Trick Room or Tailwind with Natto if I want to, and then outspeed most of them in Tailwind. So there was a lot of like playing around with my speed tiers to get them exactly right, where I could underspeed them in Trick Room and outspeed them in Tailwind. So I really like that aspect of it, and they were powerful mons to back it up. So typically to most games, I'd end up bringing Manfu, Spritzy, Magnemite, Depider +2. You can see that in the usage stats here. I have Spritzy 8, Manfu 9, Magnemite 7, Depider 6. And then there was also, and it was just kind of those 4 and then +2. So a lot of the times here you see it was Stunky. Another good options I had were Growlithe, Natto, and Lilip. For the other ones, they all provided different things, and we'll kind of get into that here as we talk about these mons, but they were those 4 plus any of these 2 usually got the job done. So starting off, we have Manfu, Ended up bringing it 18 times. It went 15 and 17. With that kind of kill-death ratio, you can kind of tell this is like a suicide lead mon. It's going to get a kill, it's going to die, and in the process, it's helped facilitate my team get into a better position. It's literally the perfect lead mon. I can't stress that enough. Every week, almost every week, I ran some combination of close combat, fake out, feint, and then a fourth, right? So you can see here, knockoff. Oh, knockoff is also super good in Little Cup. I totally forgot to mention that. Knocking off in a Violite, killer. Berry Juice, brutal. And even an Oran Berry with 10 hit points is a lot when you're level 5. So typically, knockoff, feint, fake out, close combat. Throw one other move on there for utility. Quick Guard is something that I thought was a lot better than it actually was. It worked in the first game, the first match, because I was faster than James's fake out users. And then when I went against Tay, his Glameow hit my other mon. I used Quick Guard, and then I had to Google what Quick Guard actually does, and I was incredibly disappointed because I thought it was +4 priority, but it's not. It's only +3, which is so stupid. Why does this move exist if it doesn't block fake out consistently? That's ridiculous. Regardless, Manfu's amazing. It applies so much offensive pressure, either through fake out or just killing something. And like I said, it's definitely a suicide lead mon. I mean, 15 and 17, and I would say this is probably the best or second best mon on my team, and it still died more times than it got kills. But it just was able to apply that immediate pressure, so they have to focus Manfu down. And oops, you let Spritzy set up Trick Room, and now I run through your team with Depider. And Spritzy's going to spam Dazzling Gleams and lock you into Protect if you try to protect yourself against Manfu. So it's absolutely bonkers. It's such a good mon. And I think it pretty much will 2-hit KO anything in the format, unless you're in a Violite mon. So it's even if I get one hit off, flip Trick Room, and then I have to go second, that's fine. My partner can kill you. I can kill you if I get another hit off. I can't say enough good things about this. Typically, it was just a Focus Sash mon. You almost always have to run max speed to hit 17 speed because 16 is incredibly crowded. But yeah, just go all max speed, max attack, Focus Sash, and then the other couple weeks I need to Focus Sash on something else. So run an Oran Berry, run a Berry Juice, get some healing if you live a hit. I can't say enough good things about Manfu. It was such a powerful mon and such a fun mon to use. We have Spritzy up next, who I actually brought one more time than Manfu, I think. Yeah. It went 12 and 8. It really only does one thing. You can tell by the moveset here. I mean, I only ever brought 5 different moves on this thing, and I brought it 19 times. It's going to be setting up Trick Room. It's going to be spamming Dazzling Gleam. And, hey, it's either going to be locking you into a move with Encore, or maybe it'll have Psychic on that last slot in case there's something crazy, like a not a Toxic Croak, like a Croagunk, or something that really doesn't want to get hit with a Psychic. So, like I said, it's a one-trick pony, but it does that trick so unbelievably well. I was just so thankful to have it on my team. I picked it up like round 4 or 5, which is crazy. This thing is absolutely a round 1 pick, and I think I definitely proved that this season. It's like I said before, pair it with Manfu. You can get off some offensive pressure right off the bat, and then set up Trick Room. And pretty much once I have Trick Room set up against you with my team, it's pretty much game over. There's not much that undersped my team, except for one little shrimp with an Iron Ball. That'll do it. But not much else underspeeds my team. And once my team has the speed advantage in Trick Room, that's about done. So Spritzy was the perfect kind of mid-game pivot. Set up a Trick Room mid-game, and then I've got the upper hand and I close out the game. It has incredible defensive stats to allow it to do that. 70, 60, 65 is the 90th percentile for physical bulk of Little Cup and 96th percentile for a special bulk in Little Cup. It'll pretty much always live a hit, and especially if you give it one of its resist berries. Like I ran the poison resist berry on this thing twice. It actually paid off. Once it paid off, it didn't really pay off the second time. But yeah, this thing is just so powerful, so bulky, and it can do it'll get the job done with only these 5 moves. And my team didn't have redirection at all, and I almost never didn't get Trick Room up. The only time that somebody had a reliable Trick Room counter was bringing Iron Ball or Tay with Mirror Move Murkrow. But even then, I was able to figure out that, if I just Protect after setting up Trick Room, he'll copy my Protect instead of my Trick Room, so I get Trick Room up regardless. Yeah, Spritzy's insane. We got Magnemite up next, who is an absolute nuke. Only brought it 7 times. It was, a lot of the times it was kind of matchup dependent. So, like, if they bring this mon, then I always bring Magnemite. So I had to have it on my roster just in case, but if that other mon it was targeted for didn't show up, maybe it sits on the bench. So it only ended up coming in 7 times, even though I brought it to 7 different weeks. I did end up going 8 and 6. This thing is a powerhouse, honestly. So I think, assuming I didn't mess anything up, before you factor in abilities, before you factor in items, I'm pretty sure Magnemite Steel Beam is the strongest attack in the tier. Like, by far. 140 base power off 95 special attack is crazy. And it just gets absolutely insane once you start adding on Life Orb. Or maybe I want to run Analytic. I don't think I actually ever ran Analytic. I think I ran Sturdy every single week, because Sturdy with Berry Juice is such a good combo in Little Cup. Anybody who had a Sturdy mon on their team was going to use Sturdy Juice. I mean, it's what? You get hit once, oops, I'm back to full health. Get hit again, oops, I'm back down to 1 HP. And then you have to hit me 3 times to knock me out, at the pretty much bare minimum, because you can tailor your EVs in a way where pretty much any hit's going to bring you down below half, then you heal back up, and then it's going to take 2 more hits to knock you down, so pretty much 3 hit minimum to KO Magnemite. Unless you're doing something crazy with like a weak first hit and then a super strong hit after that, but then you have to spend both your attacks on Magnemite, and oops, maybe I click Protect, and maybe you've wasted your entire turn. Yeah, it's such a good mon, and I really loved being able to use it like the way I with Sturdy Juice, but it's also an incredible choice scarfer. It almost hits 20 speed. I think it hits 19, which is good enough for some teams. Obviously, if you were bringing this on ladder, you would want to hit 20 or 21 speed tier. I don't remember what the good one is, but it was 1 point slower than the good one. But when you know what your opponent is going to be able to bring, you can run Choice Scarf Magnemite most weeks, and it's going to be fine. It also has an incredible typing for Little Cup. There's not many good steel types. I was really only considering this or Q-Fant for my steel type on my team, and I was able to get this one, which Steel and Electric is one of the best typings in the game, period, like full stop. And that only lets me have more fun with my Sturdy Juice, living hits. I can even run Life Orb on this thing and not die in 1 turn, so yeah, Magnemite was an incredibly powerful offensive threat, and there's not many things that resist Steel and Electric that are decent in Little Cup. Then we come to my personal favorite mon on the team, Depider. I only brought this thing to 6 different games, but it came 13 times. So this thing was an absolute monster. Went 16 and 4, and this is like humongous tiering mistake. I think this cost 4 points when it should have been like 7 or 8. Because Water Bubble is a fucking busted ability. Doubling damage on water attacks, yeah, it's pretty good. Like, Araquanid's good in in standard formats, and it's even better without Dynamax. And within Little Cup context, this thing's attack stat is way higher than Araquanid's is. So why was this 4 points? Because I probably forgot about it when we tiered it. And then when I was going through, I found, oh, this is a good little water type sitting down in the low tiers. And I waited like a round or 2 to pick it because I felt like it was my fault that it was that cheap. Same thing with Froakie. Froakie was the same amount of points as Depider. They both should have been 7 or 8. But I forgot about them. And they were sitting down there in tier 4. And I realized about it. I wanted to let it go a few rounds because I didn't want to feel like the commissioner who's rigging his own league to win, because how shitty would that be? So I gave people a couple rounds to pick, either of them. Froakie got nabbed, but Depider didn't, so I ended up grabbing it. And within a Little Cup format, this thing is just a world ender, honestly. You don't know if it's going to run special or physical, because it can do both equally. They're both base 40. And unless you have Storm Drain, you're going to lose them on every single time this thing attacks, honestly. I only ran a boosting item on this thing once, and it still picked up countless Okos. Even with like a spread surf, holy shit, a spread surf should not be doing 80% damage to a non-resistant target. That's like insane. Or like a non-weak target. 80% neutral. It's also dirt shit slow, so within Trick Room, it's going first, it's getting 2 kills, and you're kind of just SOL. A lot of teams had a prep around this thing in particular, and still it was able to get just ridiculous amounts of work done. It has a decent move pool though. If this thing got Muddy Water, it would be even better, but it doesn't, so I had to run Surf. But good thing Surf pairs up with one of its best friends. I guess just running over some of the other move choices here. It has the standard ice moves that you would expect the water type to get. It gets good bug moves, and with a Violite, it's just super hard to take down. So Depider was my my personal favorite mon on the team. I don't know if I'd call it the MVP. I think that would probably go to Manfu or Spritzy, but this thing is this is my win con in most games. Stunky. This is not the friend I was talking about. We'll talk about that friend probably next slide. But Stunky was a mon I actually brought to 6 different games, but I only ended up bringing it 4 times. Similarly to Magnemite, this thing is a matchup mon. If I need help with a specific type, typically Psychic, or maybe a Fairy, this thing is going to come. But a lot of the times I'd see the matchup, oh, they didn't bring X mon that I was worried about, Stunky can stay behind. But Poison Dark is such a good typing. And with Stunky's speed of 18, it was just a great 6th mon. Like, it was never one of the first ones I considered for a matchup, almost ever. But it was always the last one I figured, Stunky works good here, I'll throw him on the team. And he's super fast, and with a Life Orb, he hits really hard, actually. Like, Stunky has pretty middling offensive stats. It's like 40 special and like 60 physical. But it doesn't get many good physical moves, so you have to run special most of the time. But with a Life Orb, it gets the job done. And it can also run mixed. Like, a lot of the time I would run Sludge Bomb and Sucker Punch because I need the priority, but I also need the special poison damage. Slap a Life Orb on Stunky, it'll get the job done. It'll put in some work. 4 and 3 is pretty decent for a mon that only showed up every now and then, and it just gets the job done. Honestly, it was definitely my best value pick, even compared to Depider. Like, Depider was a clear fuck up, but Stunky was also probably a tiering mishap. Could have been a couple points higher, but still, I think it did a really good job for what I was expecting of it. And I don't really have the calcs in here to show it, but Stunky gets kind of crazy. Like, it can pick up OHKOs on a lot of different mons that it needs to, that the rest of my team is weak to. So, like I said, it's a great glue mon. Gets a good enough moveset, slap a Life Orb on it, you're good to go. This is Depider's best friend, Lileep. So, I brought this thing 11 times, went 6 and 5. And Lileep is kind of crazy. This thing is one of, if not the bulkiest mon in Little Cup. It's in the 97th percentile for physical bulk and 98th percentile for special bulk. And that is just amazing. Grass and Rock is kind of a weird typing. It only gets 2 resistances, I think. I'm pretty sure it only resists normal and something else, maybe? Yeah, it's weird. You would think it would have more, but Grass and Rock cancel each other out a lot. This thing never goes down in one hit. The only thing that I ever ran into in a match that could kill it, which was actually the team that ended up knocking me out, was it was the little, what do you call it, Meditite with high jump kick. That's the only thing that can take it out in one hit. That could OHKO it through in a Violite. But everything other than that, you're gonna have to get into a slog war with this thing and just try to chunk it down over time. But oops, Lileep is healing with Giga Drain every time it hits you, and it's doing a lot of damage because it's also pretty strong. Or I can also just run Power, blast you with Meteor Beam, pretty much get a 1-hit KO always. This Meteor Beam was kind of like Steel Beam on Magnemite, where you click a button, you get a kill, but it's like a built-in +1, so it's even better. Yeah, Lileep was amazing. It didn't really pump out the damage like I thought it was gonna. I think that's mainly just because it got overshadowed by Depider, who was killing both mons on the other side of the field at the same time, so it really didn't get the chance to shine like Depider did. But the two of them make such a great pair, don't share any weaknesses. Lileep covers Depider's weaknesses fairly well, hits flying types with Meteor Beam or Ancient Power, hits electric types with Earth Power, and then Depider helps cover Lileep's weaknesses. Obviously it does lots of damage to pretty much anything, but if Lileep's weak to it, there's a good shot that Depider can take it out for it. And then there's obviously just the great synergy of Surf plus Storm Drain, dealing tons of damage, boosting up Lileep for Lileep to do even more damage. Now we're kind of moving on to the mons I brought a lot less often. Growlithe. It's an amazing mon, don't get me wrong. If it was on a different team, it probably could have shown up every single week, but I only had to bring it 4 times. It did go 5 and 2, which was great, but it definitely fell off over the course of the season. I kind of found my stride. I found the composition and playstyle that worked for me with this team. Intimidate support is super great in Little Cup. Lots of things are physically biased as opposed to special. It's like, on average, it's like, what was it? I think it's like the average physical attack is 55 and the average special attack is 50. So it's like, what, 10% stronger physical. So if you get that Intimidate off, you're in a much better spot. It's a great move pool, Wild Charge, Heat Wave, Close Combat, Play Rough, Psychic Fangs, all that stuff's crazy. It's pretty bulky too, honestly. Put a Shuka Berry on it. I usually gave it a healing item though. It'll live a couple hits. It'll get the Intimidate off. It can Snarl if it wanted to. I never even ended up bringing that, but I could have if I wanted to. But just need a combination of Intimidate plus Staying Power and just the good spread damage of Heat Wave. Growlithe was really good. I probably should have used it more, but I ended up kind of just finding my Trick Room playstyle that I liked and sticking with that. Another mon that I only brought 3 times was Natto. Well, only brought 5 times, only brought it 3 times, which is crazy because Natto's like one of my favorite Pokemon, like top 3. It's so cute. And I love like the kind of the Native American lore aspect to it. Its design is so cool. I love everything about Natto. And it was another value pick. It was like 4 points, 70 attacks, or 70 special attack, 70 speed. Crazy. Such good value for 4 points. And it has a good moveset. Trick Room plus Tailwind, one of the few mons that actually gets both of those in this format. But a lot of the times it just stayed on the bench. It was a lot of the times my backup mode of, hey, let's say maybe my Trick Room doesn't work. We'll bring in Natto. We'll go for Tailwind instead. But like I said earlier with Spritzy, Trick Room was going to work pretty much all the time. So I never needed the backup plan of Tailwind. So over the course of the season, I brought Natto less and less. The only other times I brought it were as Specs or Scarfer, and I don't think I actually sent it in either of those games that I put the Specs or the Scarf on it. Natto does have a really great moveset. I just didn't really bring in enough times to take advantage of all that. Now we're getting into the real bottom of the barrel. Marinho, I only brought twice, but holy shit did it put in work in those 2 games I brought it. I brought it the first game against Goose's team, which when it was piloted by Canner, and it didn't die. It got lots of kills, and it did its job. Excuse me. With the Violet, it is super bulky. It has a great HP stat of 20. So this is pretty cool. It has a great HP stat of 24, which means it's divisible by 3 and divisible by 2. So if I switch out, I get a full 8 HP with Regenerator, or if I heal, I get a full 12 HP with Recover, because everything rounds down. And when your numbers are that small, every single HP matters. So Marinho with if it hits 24 HP, put the rest in bulk with the Violet, you'll be fine. You'll get there eventually with the damage you can do. Muddy Water and Gunk Shot or Sludge Bomb was pretty much all I ever needed. And then we have the honorable mentions. They don't even get pictures up here. Sorry. I brought Manfu once. It has a good type, good stats, but its abilities kind of suck. It's funny, you think pickup would be a lot better than it is, because it'll pick up like a Berry Juice or an Oran Berry or something, but I don't know. I just thought there was better things to do with my team slots. And Dreepy just sucks. Dreepy's bad at everything. It's not fast enough to get the job done. It's weak as shit. It only learns one good attack, which is Draco Meteor. I tried to find a week to justify bringing Dreepy, but I also wanted to try hard and get a perfect season. So I left Dreepy on the bench every single week. So sorry, Dreepy. Maybe you're just not worth picking. Moving on, I wanted to give a shout out to my most creative build, which I think was probably this Depider set I brought in the first week. It's standard Depider with the Violet. How is that creative? Well, it's only creative because these last 2 moves down here, Frost Breath and Giga Drain. This was against James, who had his Woobat Grookey combo. So Woobat Grookey combo, you want to send in Woobat. It's going to get +2 from the Grassy Seed. Then it calms Minds and gets like +2 from +2 from that. But you can use Frost Breath, crit through that, get the kill, and then after that, kill the entire rest of the team with Surf. I think Frost Breath also killed Grookey in 1 hit or 2 hits. The defense let me live a Wood Hammer from Grookey. And then Icy Wind for speed control and Surf just for tons of damage. Giga Drain, I think he had Onyx on his team too, because Onyx is also really, really like pathetically weak, so it can't kill Depider back. But I can get a clean 2-hit KO with either Surf or Giga Drain. Well, 3-hit KO because Sturdy Juice, but get health back at the meantime to survive that one-on-one. And it ended up working out. He didn't end up even bringing the little bat thing, but the rest of the moveset worked well enough. Everything else that I brought this season wasn't too creative. It was pretty bog standard, but I like this set. Best duo, obviously got to give it to Manfu and Spritzy. These two were my 9-point mons, my high tiers, and holy shit, they paid off. They were a hell of a high tier. And both of them were incredible by themselves, and the fact that I got both of them on the same team was just bonkers. They work so well together, even though you wouldn't expect it. One's a fast offensive mon, one's a slow Trick Room, bulky, do whatever kind of thing. But Manfu applies the pressure for Spritzy to set up the Trick Room to get the rest of my team in a winning position, and that's kind of like the thesis of my season. So, yeah, I couldn't have done it without these two. Not even a question. So overall, I ended up going 7-0 in the regular season and 1-1 in playoffs, losing to Goose, who made it to the finals. But then Tay came back and took back the crown. So that was how the season went. It was super well played. I hope everybody had fun. I had a lot of fun. I think the Little Cup's really fun. Seeing little cute baby mons killing each other in one hit was doesn't really get old. And especially seeing other kind of crazy things like in what other format is APOM an absolute top tier must have like multiple things prepared for a threat? Where else is Spritzy gonna see this much play in? Like, why would Depider be good? Who knows? I mean, I clearly didn't even think of that before the season started. It was fucking 4 points. So, yeah, I had a lot of fun. We're gonna have to figure out what next season is. I have no idea, honestly, at this point. But yeah, this was season 3 of VBL-N. Lots of fun, and looking forward to the next one. Yeah, finally feels good to have made this video. So, moral of the story: Manfu good, Spritzy good. Maybe I'll draft him in part 2 of the Daddy Plan. Who knows? All right, that's about it. That's all I got. See you in the next one.